Go back outside and... So guys, I've been receiving a ton of messages asking me what programs I use to make these videos on. And I know a lot of you out there want to one day become YouTubers yourself, such as yo boy. Which is why I really quickly wanted to just bring to your attention an amazing editing program, very easy, very simple to use, that I have been using myself for my videos. And that is behind me right now, called Filmora 9. And I want to quickly show you how it works so that you can download it, try it, and get started on your YouTube career. So guys, here I am on Filmora 9 just to give you a quick look. So it's a very simple, easy program, and I highly recommend for anyone out there that is new to editing. So we're going to quickly go and we're going to start a new project here. And I'm actually going to drop a video that was recently done already on the channel. But I have the raw footage. So essentially what we're going to quickly do is we're going to drop it in right here. And as you can see on the timeline, very easy, very simple. You've got all of the tools up above the bar. And what we're going to do is we're going to quickly cut this just to show you how easy it is. Bam. Look at that. Already done. Delete. Very simple to cut and splice through clips. And just to show you what else you can do here. So besides just the audio, besides just the visuals, we're going to drop in some music real quick. Simple, easy, drop it down here. Simple and easy. And all you need to do is just adjust, just like this. Let's add some effects. Oof. Ooh, how does that look? So let's turn the volume. All right. So we turn the audio down. And we're gonna take a look at some of the effects. So let's take a look at the bad sick. Whoa! Check that out. Oh my goodness. And let's remove that. Let's try some other stuff here. Let's add this effect. Ooh, that's very cool. I very much like that. So they've got other effects too. So they have lens flares that we can add into this. Let's see how that looks. Woo! Wow, awesome. So they've got a ton of effects, a ton of transitions. Tiles, they have default templates that are great for credits, as you can see here. Super awesome, super easy, guys, super straightforward, and awesome effects. Lots of things to work with here. Oh, very nice. Wow, that's actually really cool. Oh my god. Hold on, whoa, check this out. Oh! So Filmora is definitely something I highly recommend. Filmora 9. If you want to download this editing program, be sure to check it out. Links down in the description below. And afterwards, his father said it would probably be better to go back outside and... Jeez, guys! What are you doing here? Oh my god, you scared me! What are you doing out in the middle of the woods, weirdo? Oh, that's right, I'm out here too. Well, there's nothing weird about being out around nature. I'm just reading some books. Cameraman, show them the world that lies outside their doors. Out off the grid, as I like to say. There ain't no social media here, but if you want to follow me on it, feel free. I won't lie though. It does get a little creepy out here when the sun goes down. Speaking of creepy stuff, guys, today I have a story that I want to retell to you from a user named Pavister123 over on Reddit, who tells a very disturbing and really weird story that takes place out in the forest when him, his brother, and his father happen to spend a little trip out in the woods. You ready? Let's get into it. For as long as I can remember, my father was always the outdoorsy type. He and my mother would take my younger brother, Ty, and I out in the woods, and we would spend days at a time just doing absolutely anything we could find to do out there. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved it when I was younger, as did Ty. Ty and I especially loved when my father would tell scary campfire stories about ghosts and monsters, and how they lived in the woods and on our property. These stories would always make us, well, crap our pants, but my father would always reassure us that it was just a story. I remember one time, though, he told us a story about skinwalkers, creatures that could shapeshift into anything they wanted to. Anyway, he told us that when he was younger, probably like 14, him and his dad went out camping in the very spot we were at. He said at nighttime he went out of his tent to use the washroom when he saw, just out of peripheral vision, an old man just standing there, staring, smiling. Then he opened his mouth to reveal long, sharp, disgusting teeth with a tongue at least a foot long. He said the old man had begun slowly walking towards him, twitching and what sounded like he was gurgling blood in his disgusting mouth. My father said he froze. He couldn't even muster a single step. That's when his dad jumped out of the tent and scared the monster off. My father said that the monster was scared of grown-ups and that kids should never be out in the woods unless there's a grown-up around. The story literally made Ty cry, and I demanded him to say he was kidding. Realizing what my father had done, he apologized and told us that he was kidding. I guess his attempt at a moral lesson went south. I'll never forget the story, though. Anyway, enough of the creepy stuff for now. It was always so exciting when our parents would pick us up from school and they told us we were going camping for the weekend. We did it all the time, but eventually that stopped. You see, my mother, she had died from cancer when I was about 6. After that, we never really went out. The evening hikes and the weekend camping trips had suddenly stopped. My father wanted nothing to do with the outdoors. I guess because it reminded him too much of our mother. But believe me, neither did my brother and I. I grew to hate the outdoors and spent much of my time inside playing video games. Either that or arguing with my father and Ty. You may be wondering why we would be arguing. Well, since the outdoors was my family's source of bonding, and we no longer went outdoors, we all kind of grew apart. One day, a Friday as I recall, school had ended for fall break. This would be about 10 years later, September 2001. I would be 16, Ty probably around 11. Anyway, we got into our father's beat-up old truck, buckled and fastened our seatbelt. My father said hello and asked how our days had been, as per usual. We responded back and nothing more was said. Keep in mind, we weren't that close anymore after what had happened, and we lived pretty deep in the woods, so it took a while to get home. You could probably imagine how awkward the car ride was. Probably about halfway through our ride, my father spoke. "Listen, I know it's been a little while since we've gone out, and I figured it would be nice to get out and do something a little more. You know, since it's the both of your boys' fall break." "Why now?" I had asked. Ty, sitting in the back seat directly behind me, kind of made a small gasp. "Because I feel bad for not spending more time with you and Ty. I know it's been a long time, trust me. I know. But I think it would be nice for all of us to spend more time together." "Michael?" I let out a small sigh before saying, "Okay." My father nodded before asking Tyler, "What about you, Ty? Think it's a plan?" I guess so," Ty said. I knew that Ty didn't really want to, but he figured since I, his older brother, had agreed, he should too. We got home probably around 5 o'clock. We had all exited the truck when my father said, "I was thinking, boys, maybe we could go camping tonight. It's been a good day for it." "It's freezing outside, Dad," Ty had said, and he was right. I'm not sure why my father picked the coldest night of September to camp out. "Come on, we've stayed out there in the snow before, Ty." "We might as well, Ty," I told Ty unenthusiastically. I would have much rather spent my night playing video games. Better yet, I'd rather spend my whole fall break playing games rather than going outside. "All right then, let's get our stuff all together and head out," my father said, with some excitement in his voice. I was in my room getting my blankets and extra clothes together when Ty entered my room. "What's up with Dad? Why does he want to go camping all of a sudden, after all these years?" "I'm not really sure. Just play it off, okay?" I told him. "Yeah, okay," he said. Ty and I were ready to go, so we headed to the truck. My father was already waiting in the truck with all our camping supplies in the truck bed. We got in and my father began driving. We have a bunch of trails, so we would usually camp along them, making it easier just to walk to a campsite. We got to the campsite in time to get everything situated before it got dark. Once we got to the tent setup, which took an incredible amount of time considering we haven't spent more than 10 years doing this, my father recommended Ty and I go get some kindling and wood to make a fire. "Ugh, why can't you do it?" I asked my father. "All right, I guess I'll go do it. Just get everything tidied up." He disappeared in a thick brush which surrounded our campsite. This is lame. There's nothing to do, Ty said. Just stop whining. It's only for tonight, I responded. Ty quickly bit back at my comment. Oh, shut up. You were the one whining about it earlier in the truck. Enough, Ty. Let's just try and enjoy ourselves for once, okay? Whatever. Hey, what's going on? My father said in a soft but firm voice. Nothing. Just talking. Knowing I'd slap him if he told Dad I accused him of whining. Come on, let's go get the fire going, my father replied. Once the fire started up, we all found a spot on the hard dirt ground and stuck out our hands, trying to heat them up. Just like old times, my father said, sounding at peace. We sat there in silence for a very awkward while. This seemed to be the new norm for us. I don't remember what he said, but my father somehow started up a conversation with us. We spent at least a few hours talking. We were back to normal for once, and it felt amazing to spend quality time with each other again. I felt at peace with, well, everything, really. As we were all talking, I think we were under the topic of who Ty's mysterious lover was when my father changed the subject. Hey, do you boys remember when I used to tell you stories before we went to sleep? I chuckled. I don't scare that easy anymore, but I'm sure Ty would probably still cry about your stories. Ty rolled his eyes. What about the stories anyways, Dad? Well, I just wanted to let you boys know something. Since you're old enough not to pretty well near crap your pants when I say this, my father said. I, seeming confused but slightly curious, said, What do you mean, Dad? Do you boys remember that story I told you a while back? The one about the skinwalkers? My heart felt as if it dropped. I remembered that story. I remember how it gave me nightmares for months. I also remember Ty having to sleep with my father and my mother for at least a month. But I played it off. I don't think so, I said. Ty said, I think I do. His voice gave off that creepy vibe sound you made when you could tell somebody had just seen a ghost. Well, I wasn't lying. It really did happen. Right here, where we are right now. Ty nervously chuckled. Yeah, right. There's no such thing as skinwalkers. Right, Michael? No, they don't, Ty. He's just joking. I wish I was, son. I've wanted to tell you both for a very long time now, but I figured you were too young. Well, Ty and I both came to the conclusion that our father was a whack job. There's no way skinwalkers exist. I had no idea that I would soon discover the truth. Ty and I, obviously pretty spooked about what my father had said, out of nowhere decided to go sleep early to get the thoughts out of our heads. My father stayed up, though. It had to have been at least 12 o'clock in the morning, and I had no idea why my father was staying up so late. But then I remembered. He always stayed up late when Ty and I would go to sleep in the tent, even 10 years ago. Something inside of me wondered if my father really was telling the truth, that the skinwalker is real, and that only grown-ups can protect children. I stayed paranoid for a bit, but then shrugged it off, figuring my father thought it would be funny to mess with us for old time's sake. I awoke sometime later. Why? I'm not really sure, but I propped my head up and saw that my father wasn't outside. I had a creepy panic settle in before I looked over, and there he was, sound asleep, nestled in his long dark blue sleeping bag. I made a big sigh of relief and laid my head back down on my soft pillow. Just as I closed my eyes, I heard something. It sounded like a meow. No, it definitely was a meow. Like a small kitten or meowing was trying to get my attention. My head jumped up and I peered through the tent's see-through entrance. I glanced around, but I saw nothing. I thought to myself, what the hell would a cat be doing in the middle of the woods? Just as I went to lay back down, I heard it again. Another plain as day meow. It was at that moment I started to really freak out, and I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. I darted my head back and forth to see what on earth was making a meowing noise, but still nothing. Just as I turned away from the entrance, I saw something. For just a split second, I seen something. I couldn't tell what it was because it was moving pretty quickly, and it was near the brush. It was at that moment I really started freaking out. I didn't want to wake Ty or my father, worrying that it was nothing until I didn't want to look like a wimp, really. But the meow, What could logically explain the clear meow I had heard? I kept an eye on the outside for at least 10 minutes, and nothing. But soon enough, I fall back asleep. It felt like not even 5 minutes later before I had heard a small scratching sound. I looked up, not enough to see the entire outside, but enough to still see. The fire was still going, so I could see silhouettes of trees peeking from the tent. But what I had saw next made my stomach drop to my feet. I saw a tall, dark silhouette moving, not even walking, but simply moving to the right of the tent. I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. The silhouette had stopped and stood to the right of the tent for at least 10 minutes before it slowly started to the left. I could feel my heart beating out of my chest, and my breath became quick and panicky. Just before it made to the entrance, I covered my eyes with the blankets. I could hear nothing but my own heartbeat. I stayed hidden for a little while before I heard what sounded like light breathing. I was almost touching the entrance of the tent, looking out, trying to see what the hell just passed by the tent. Just as I was looking, I saw it. It was a tall, slender creature. It looked like a man. He was wearing some sort of black jumpsuit. My eyes were glued to whatever it was. I couldn't move, nor breathe. I think it knew I was staring, because it slowly began turning. I panicked and began breathing hard again, my heart nearly beating out of my chest. It turned around, and I saw its face. It had murky white eyes, almost as white as the moon itself, and it had the most sinister smile on its pale face, its mouth exposing a set of large, sharp teeth. It had the longest fingers I had ever seen, and it made not even a peep of sound. It just stood there, smiling at me, not even blinking. I couldn't look away. My fear got the best of me, and I could not look away. The creature finally broke its silence with an all too familiar sound. It meowed. It was mimicking a cat. It was trying to get me to leave the tent. I felt sick. I almost vomited. The creature, whatever the hell it was, wouldn't stop meowing. I was crying at this point, still motionless. The creature then began twisting its arms and legs, making cracking and breaking sounds, and it began distorting its own shape. I knew this wasn't a human. No normal human could bend and disfigure like that. It began growling and snarling and chopping its teeth. It had been completely distorted. It looked at me, and it spoke.
You know what God did to us. You know what God did to us.
In shock, I didn't even process what it said. After it spoke, it ran away into the bush, screaming so loud and so blood-curdling. Every hair on my body had stood up. I had no idea how Ty or my father never woke up. I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. All I could think about was what it said. What did it mean by, "You know what God did to us"? To this very day, I have no idea what that monster meant. Eventually, morning came. Me curled into the fetal position, body too empty of tears to cry anymore, startled at the sudden movement of my father getting up out of his sleeping bag. He yawned, rubbed his eyes, and looked around for a second. I don't think he noticed that I'd been awake, because he got up and exited the tent. I exited soon after, and then Ty. I sat there on the ground with the same picture in my head. Those eyes, looking through my very soul. My father went and tapped on my arm. "How did you sleep, buddy?" he said. I wanted to tell him so badly what had happened for the night, but I just couldn't. We began packing everything up, and once we were done, we were off and back home. As I sat in the passenger side seat, I just kept on thinking on what had happened. I was just glad that it was finally over, but it wasn't. My father chuckled and said, "Hey, last night I was kidding about the whole skinwalker thing. I thought it would be funny to give you boys a good old scare for old time's sake." Ty laughed in relief. My heart dropped when he had said that. I couldn't believe what he said. My father was wrong. After that night, I never went camping again. As a matter of fact, I never went into the woods again. What made it worse was telling my father that I was sick or tired when he would ask if he wanted to go camping. He always believed me and just took Ty. I was relieved that I never had to go to the woods again, even though I lived around it, as long as I never set foot in it again. I swear, some nights after the camping incident, I can still hear the creature's words ringing in my ears. I swear I could hear it moving around my window. I heard meowing every single night, but I never dared to look out the window. I graduated a couple years later, in 2004, then almost immediately moved out of my home in the woods, to a large university far, far away from the woods. I only visited my father and Ty on holidays, but I never spent the night. They usually came to visit me instead. Now, it's 2018. My father had passed away back in 2015. Old age had got him at 73. Ty and I still hang on almost every weekend. My wife and his wife get along very well, and so do our kids. I live in the city, a large city, away from any patch of woods for miles. To this very day, 17 years later, I still remember that crooked smile, those awful teeth, its evil, murky white eyes, its meow. But most importantly, what it said to me. And I still don't know what it meant. And I still haven't been to the woods. Well, Pavister. That was quite the spooky story for sure. I can't say I've ever really heard of the tale of the skinwalker before, but it definitely sounds like something I don't want to see while I'm out in the forest. But with that being said though, guys, that is today's story. If you want to submit your stories to get your chance to get featured on here, be sure to write one up and send it over on the subreddit Razorverse page down in the description below. And like Mark likes to say, make it juicy, right? Right, Mark?
Make it juicy.
I totally stole your line, I'm sorry. I do have to say, the one thing that sent chills down my spine with this story was what the creature said to Pavister in the woods. You know what God did to us. That freaked me out. I didn't like that. But either way, guys, thank you for watching. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more great content. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna get out of here before I see some skinwalkers. You good to go? Yeah. Okay, let's go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ah!